After watching this video, you should have a crystal clear understanding of what the OSCE exam is about, the structure of the exam, the fees involved, and the approved examination centers in the UK. So if this is something you are interested in, then do well to like this video and stay tuned to the end. My name is Bright Seram Agbenyo. You can call me The Business. On this channel, I talk about personal finance, personal development, entrepreneurship, and professional growth. So if you like any of these subjects, then do well to subscribe to my channel. Now let's talk about the main subject of today's video, OSCE. What is OSCE? OSCE is an abbreviation for Objective Structured Clinical Examination. For you to be able to work in the UK as a foreign trained nurse, or you want to rejoin the Nursing and Midwifery Council Register of the UK as a nurse who has been out of active service for a very long time, you need to be tested for your competency to practice to be determined. This qualification is ascertained through a two-part examination called the Test of Competence, consisting of the CBT and the OSCE. The CBT is an online examination abbreviated for computer-based test. This is an objective exam that can be done online. Most of you watching this video might have done that already because you'll be able to do that online without coming to the UK. Now, the second part of the exam, the test of competence exam, is the OSCE. The OSCE is a practical exam that is used to test your practical and communication skills in order to ascertain that you are competent enough to practice as a nurse in the UK. So basically, there are clinical skills that you should be competent at as a nurse, such as wound dressing, injections, and what have you. To determine that you'll be able to perform these skills, you are tested through the OSCE examination. I hope this gives you some clarity. Now that you understand what the OSCE exam is about, let's talk about the structure of the exam. What is the structure of the OSCE exam? The OSCE exam is grouped into what we call stations, and there are 10 of these stations. So we have from station 1 to station 10. You are required to pass all these stations. These 10 stations are further grouped into 3 different categories. So to say, 4 stations are linked together around a scenario. And these stations are APIE, assessment, planning, implementation, and evaluation. In these 4 stations, you will be given a patient scenario and you are expected to assess this patient, draw a care plan for them, administer an oral medication to this patient, and evaluate this patient. That is by handing this patient over to the next shift or to a referral team. And that will be the category 1 of the 3 categories I spoke about earlier. Then we have another 4 stations also grouped together, and these stations are to test your clinical skills. So in these 4 stations, you'll be performing 4 skills, which are most likely to come in pairs of 2. So you do 2 pairs of skills. For example, wound assessment and wound dressing. These are 2 different skills, but they come together as a pair because you cannot do a wound assessment without dressing the wound. But there are 2 skills. So when you have a skill where you have to do a wound dressing, then it means you are doing 2 skills in one. You assess the wound and you dress the wound, and it is called ANTT over here, aseptic non-touch technique. This is why I say there are 2 pairs of skills. Another example is blood glucose monitoring and subcutaneous injection. So when you have a skill where you are asked to monitor the blood glucose or check the blood glucose of a patient, then it is likely that you administer insulin to them. So these skills also come together as a pair. These stations require you to perform 2 skills competently, and that will be my category 2. Finally, two stations, which are professional values and evidence-based practice, assess the candidate's values and behaviors, and evidence-based practice. This is a written station. What this means is that in these two stations, you are not going to perform any physical skills, but you are going to write whatever your answer is. In the professional value station, you'll be given an incident scenario, and then based on your knowledge of professional values and the NMC code of the UK, you're expected to write how you will act in those situations. For instance, we know that nurses are supposed to uphold high professional standards and values like confidentiality, respect, and dignity of people under our care. So this station is testing your values based on the NMC code. And in the evidence-based practice, you are given a research finding and you are asked to summarize and then provide the relevance of this research finding in the practice of nursing. So this is a summary of all I have said so far. The OSCE is an exam that tests your clinical skills and communication skills. It is made up of 10 stations. These 10 stations are further grouped into 3 categories. The first category, which is APIE, consists of assessment, planning, implementation, and evaluation. The second category, which is testing your clinical skills, will assess your clinical skills. So you'll be required to do 4 different clinical skills in this stage, and they are likely to be paired. And finally, we have 2 stations that test your professional values and evidence-based practice. This makes up the 10 stations in the OSCE examination. Now that you know what the OSCE examination is about, just like any other examination, there are approved test centers where these examinations can be taken, and there are 5 approved examination centers for the OSCE in the UK. These 5 examination centers are Oxford Brookes University, which is located in Oxford with a site in Swindon in England. University of Northampton, Northumbria University, Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust, all in England, and the University of Ulster in Northern Ireland. These are the approved test centers for the OSCE examination. You can visit the website of all these universities to find more information about the test center and the OSCE exam at large. What are the fees involved in taking OSCE examination? So if you are sponsoring yourself to take this exam, the cost for the examination is £794. If unfortunately you need to resit this exam, then you will pay £397 for a receipt. That is if you are sitting 7 stations and below. But if you have to sit above 7 stations, then you will pay the full price again. If your employer is going to sponsor you in your recruitment process, then you don't have to pay for this examination. It's going to be paid for by your employer. Somebody might ask, do you need classes to take this exam? Yes, you need some classes and some practice. So if you think you can watch videos on YouTube, practice at home, and you'll be confident enough to take this exam, that is your sole decision. But if you need training, most trainings in UK for OSCE are around £1,000 and above. So if you are sponsoring yourself, then you should be looking at spending around £2,000 averagely for taking the OSCE examination. So that is it. In this video, we talked about what the OSCE examination is, the structure of the exam, the fees involved, and the approved test centers. I hope this gives you a valuable information to make decisions and also give you an overview or a broad understanding of what the OSCE examination is. If you found any value at all in this video, then Subscribe to my channel, share to your friends who might be interested in taking the OSCE exam or are preparing for the OSCE examination. And let me know what next you want to learn about the OSCE examination. If you like me to create more content around OSCE, I will be glad and happy to do. Let me know in the comment section. Thank you for staying up to this point and see you in my next video.